Alabama had not one, but two very big wins today. Oh, God.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is not brought to you by anybody, but we want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the absolute best. We appreciate you. And I got so many people to talk about that I saw at the game today. And I'll get to that. And first and foremost, huge, monster, gigantic shout out to the Alabama basketball team. We're not going to talk about that in the first segment. I know y'all want to talk football. I do too. But you got to give those guys their props. I mean, what a game. One of the best regular season games you'll ever see. Just unbelievable. Had everything you want. So super proud of the basketball team. Super proud of the football team because what they showed me today, Jimmy, is that they can play with C+ game, maybe B- if you want to be grading on a curve, and still beat a team like LSU. Granted, LSU doesn't really have a coach. They're in turmoil, but they still got dudes. They've got some dudes. And while it wasn't pretty, it wasn't our best. You and I always say, play your best once or twice, play your worst once or twice, and everything in between is what you are. That also can be shrunk down to more in a micro sense. I think the offense played one of its worst games of the year, maybe its worst game of the year. And the defense played, I would say, above average. So the defense sort of helped the offense today, which is sort of counterintuitive to what we've been seeing.
Well, maybe counterintuitive to what we're seeing back in September, because I do think the offense has taken some steps back. I also think some of it's attributed to just playing better defenses. LSU was the best defense in the league through the first half. The first half of the SEC season, it was LSU. They weren't giving up points to anybody until they started having some injuries. They went off a cliff on those final 2 weeks of the Brian Kelly regime. But overall, I think this is one of the better defenses in the league. I'm a lot more positive about the win just because I think more of LSU and their players and the effort. I do think the defense was outstanding. They only gave up 56 yards rushing, and LSU struggled to run the ball. But what was impressive in terms of only giving up 56, 59 yards rushing is that they made Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren both highly inefficient. They had very inefficient games throwing the football. The defense gave up nothing, went back and looked with fewest points LSU has been held to all year long. First time all year without a touchdown. I think the defense gets an A today. They also sacked the quarterback 3 times. They caused a couple of turnovers. And really, LSU never really threatened Alabama's lead late in the game because the defense just had a lockdown. Now, the offense, there's definitely some issues there. We know that for sure. And, yeah, I think we'll hash that out on the show all week, discussing Alabama's run game issues, because obviously that's a thing. I'm not blind to that. I just think there's a little bit of too much negativity. I think the focus needs to be on there's only 10 teams that have no losses or won. Only 10. Alabama's played the toughest schedule of any of the 10. And the fact that they're 9-1 or 8-1, and obviously Eastern Illinois, I think we all know what's going to happen there. So they're sort of 9-1. For them to be in this position, this bounce back year 2 of DeBoer, and coaching around issues. They can't run the ball, yet they still find a way to win the game every week. I think we need to not celebrate, but just point that out that, hey, somehow, some way, they're winning in spite of it. Now, will they continue to? That's a good question. But I also think to some extent we got to talk about what are the expectations anyway for this team. I thought we were like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we made the playoffs? They're on track to do that. But, instead, again, I think there's too much negativity about the run game after a win against a team that I consider one of the 20 best teams in college football.
Okay, and I think all that's very fair. And, truth be known, for those who don't watch the show that much, Jimmy's usually the more optimistic guy. I'm usually the more pessimistic guy. And that's okay. We need a good cop, bad cop. I'm Also, I got to tell y'all, I I rode back from the game with a friend of mine and his wife and their daughter and the boyfriend, and we had a driver and everything. And everybody might have been drinking some. And the wife apparently has no problem, vaping. She vapes occasionally. And I was like, I said, I just don't get it. She goes, well, here, just try it. And I said, I don't even know what to do with it. She said, just put it on your lips and suck it. As horrible as that sounded.
Immunity.
And I did. And I've got blueberry. It tasted like my last Uber driver's car smelled. It was nothing but blueberry all down my throat, like barbecued blueberry. It's the worst experience I've had doing anything.
So you're not hooked. You're not addicted.
No, I'm not hooked. So if I'm clearing my throat a lot, it's because I have blueberry phlegm right now. That's the only way to describe it. It's the worst.
Leave it to Luke to say something like, I'm thinking of taking up smoking. I hear good things.
Yeah. Bart Simpson once told his dad, you know what, I'll take up smoking and then I'll give that up. And Homer said, that's great, son. That's the toughest thing you ever do. Here's $100. So maybe that's what I should do. Somebody said, you don't have to swallow it, Luke. Well, she didn't tell me how much to inhale. I just went and like it was like all of blueberry down my it's just in me now. It's a part of me now. Anyway, so that's why if I'm coughing up, that's what it is. Now, this game, Jimmy, there just wasn't it never clicked. The defense, you can say it clicked, and I'm with you, although it should be noted the defense usually bailed itself out. Like if they gave up a big play, they would then get a huge sack or something like that. Or they'd get they gave up a pretty big pass play where they caused the first fumble. LSU had made some moves when Yanzi Pierre creates that strip sack. I guess it was just a strip. I don't know if it was really called a strip sack, but they bailed themselves out. Offensively, it felt like it just never came together. Yeah. And I say this from a place of love that I don't think it ever felt together in the stands. And again, I mean, hoity-toity Luke got invited to a box, so maybe y'all can say, well, you weren't in the stands to see all this. But I thought I had a pretty good vantage point. I was in the end zone, and I could see everything. And at first, I was like, I think the crowd's really going to be into this today. And then as the game wore on, like when we went for it on God, that blueberry, y'all, I'm telling y'all. So this just happened 5 minutes ago. So when we went for it on fourth down in that first drive and we didn't get it, it felt like everybody was like, oh my God, like it's going to be one of those games. It's like we sort of spoke it into existence. And then it never really, it just never came together. But again, you take a 20-9 win, you take any win over LSU at any time. I respect LSU. I know a lot of people on here have been saying, Bama is burning Matt Moscana locked on LSU. He talks a lot of trash. He does. He 100% does. But what he's doing is getting you guys to listen and getting you guys PO'd. I don't think he actually hates Alabama that much. I think he might, but he loves to talk about that, right? But I respect LSU, and anytime you can beat them, it is a wonderful thing. So take it and be done with it.
They got dudes everywhere. I mean, there's dudes all over the field. Harlan Berry, that freshman back, he's going to be outstanding in his career. I think he's going to be an NFL player. They're a wide receiver. Their first wide receiver group, Barry Brown, Aaron Anderson, Tre'Davious Green, who struggled a couple of drops, didn't dominate, but I think everybody can see the physical gifts he has. And then defensively, they're missing a couple of guys, but they still have a first-round corner. I thought Harold Perkins, again, showing off his athleticism, playing multiple spots throughout the games. He had a sack and a tackle for, the sack tackle for loss. Harold Perkins, really good team. Keep in mind, for those that say, 4 losses, look who they've lost to. You have to look at that. I mean, I would tell anybody, if you think about how rankings work, we all know that right now it's Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Let's say you have 3 losses. They're to Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M. I could argue that team should be ranked 4th. How do you know How do you know that they're worse than teams behind them when they've only lost to teams ahead of them? LSU has lost to really good football teams, and they are flawed. They're not a great team. Alabama's going to play a much better team next week. Oklahoma's better than LSU, and they've clearly played better teams in the postseason. But LSU is a good team, and when you're playing this tough schedule, this stuff just adds up. I wish people would appreciate how difficult Alabama's schedule has been, and here they sit, 8-1.
Have I muted? No.
Okay. That's a great point by AJ.
AJ Evans said 1422, not to be confused with AJ Evans 1421, said Indiana gets credit for a gutsy win and Alabama gets a struggle win. And that is so freaking true.
We've been dealing with that for a couple of decades.
And the other thing that's so infuriating, if LSU and Penn State play tomorrow, LSU's a 10-point favorite and they probably cover. They're a better team. So it's difficult. And I know Indiana was on the road, but I mean, spare me. This Penn State team has mailed it in. And Indiana couldn't take care. Now, they give Indiana credit. Mendoza had a nice pass at the end. He had a nice drive. That receiver made an incredible catch. If it weren't for Cam Coleman's catch at Vanderbilt, that would be well, I think the Mendoza catch is probably better. It meant more. But Cam Coleman's catch was pretty good, too. Now, I thought Ryan Williams' catch for a touchdown was great because he got crunched. Mm-hmm. Now, Jimmy, you brought up a name, too, and I want you to talk about this before we go to break. Obviously, Jimmy and I were at the game, but we have a friend that was texting us and a group of us, and he kept saying he was getting mad because Greg McElroy apparently was like, loving him some Trey-Dez Green. Like, why haven't they thrown it more to Green? Why haven't they thrown it more to Green? Sorry, another blueberry came up. I swear. That's the worst experience I've had.
I've just decided never to vape. Talk me out of it. You just talked me out of it.
Wow. I gotta say, though, it's kind of delicious. No, I'm teasing. So he kept talking about Green, right? And then it was Green. I'm in that end zone where we had LSU pinned back late, and we had a blitz. I can't remember who blitzed, but we blitzed from where Green was. And the quarterback, I can't remember if it was Nussmeier. I can't remember who it was. Hit Green in the hands, and if he catches it like he should have, it's not only a first down. It may be Katie bar the door 98 yards.
Yeah, because the kid can really, really run. Yeah, and I think that Trey-Dez Green had a couple of drops in this game, and I think he's a great player, just like GMAC does. I don't disagree at all. He is a great player, and he's probably going to be a first-round pick in the future at some point. Not in this draft, but in future drafts. He could be a first-round pick. I think it's just a good example of, Ryan's not the only good receiver that drops balls. He's not the only one that does. So there are NFL receivers on Sundays that drop balls, and I'm not saying we're diminishing the issue with Ryan. I'm just saying I think we can just over-criticize. And like I say all the time, hey, if Ryan has 4 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, I'll take the drop.
Yeah,
I'll take the drop if that's the game.
Do you think before we go to break, there was a pass, and Ty was off, and he missed Ryan, but do you think he should have caught that one that sort of bounced off his hands? He had a stretch. I think he should have, but I think it's tough.
I didn't think it was a catchable ball. Okay. I didn't think so. Now, I've not seen the TV angles. Yeah. I was just there. Now it was right at me, so I could see that one pretty good. It didn't look catchable to me. It reminded me of the deep ball to Jeremy. It was just half a foot off, just half a foot. I mean, and I think the Ryan thing, half a foot. It was just off, making it too difficult of a catch, just like the Germ play. Ty was a little off, but at the same time, if you say Ty was a little off, look at what Ty did and look at the numbers. He actually had a very efficient performance, 8 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Obviously doesn't have the best protection in the world all the time, but overall the protection was okay. 1 sack. They just gave up 1 sack per the numbers that I saw. The run game is and he has no run game to lean on. I mean, no run game whatsoever. And we'll hash that out all week. I'm as intrigued as anyone to come up with some solutions here, because it feels like Alabama's season, as good as it's going, has a shelf life if this is all they're getting out of the run game. And you see, if Ty is just a little off and you have no run game, it can really put you in a corner. And had LSU had a better offense, Alabama might have been in a little trouble, but they didn't. And they won the game by 2 scores against a team that was sort of playing for a lot of pride and a team that's got a lot of players. They're going to play pro football. That's a pretty good team. It gets tougher next week, though. Oklahoma is even better, playing for their playoff lives next Saturday.
And as Patrick Swayze once famously said, nobody puts Bama in a corner. I want to tell you now about DoorDash. Lord knows I'm about to hit me up some DoorDash. I got to do something to get this blueberry taste out of my mouth.
Blueberry muffin.
Yeah. For Bama, the guy who delivered in a big way today, that's Yanzi Pierre, if you ask me. Just 2 more sacks. Caused a fumble. I guess it is a strip sack. That counts as a sack. His 1 sack was just like, holy cow, that we pushed him out of field goal range. It was crazy. He just did everything needed to be done. He delivered when we need him to deliver. And just like Yanzi Pierre delivered for Bama, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up 250 smacks, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, which is right now. You're out of time. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo through 11/18, and ask DoorDash, and you'll love it. Very quickly, going to give a shout out to some folks that came up to me today, said they love the podcast because you know what? I think it's important. A Deke at the Deke House. Well, I went to the Deke House, and Will Howard, not the former Ohio State, Kansas State quarterback, just another Will Howard. Seemed like a nice dude. I didn't even get to see him throw. A Chris came up to me. Then a guy named Bragg out of Mobile and his very polite son, Charles, who was, I think he was only 10, but a super kid, and he's a future Gump, you can tell. Marley, I got to put the picture of Marley. Marley's one of the best looking fans I've ever seen us have. And she came up to me and she goes, oh my God, I've got to get a picture with you. And I was thinking, well, okay. She goes, me and my dad love your podcast. I'm like, oh, I just thought she saw a handsome older man. And look, Marley, if I weren't married and 53 and unattractive and broke, no telling how much magic we'd make. And Marshall also said something. So appreciate all you guys. And I try my best to write down the names of people who say good things.
And shout out to Logan, who stopped me at the game. Says he's been watching the show every day for 3 years, and wanted to shout out. And you got it, good fan. Several other people that stopped or I saw that waved. Everybody's nice today. My buddies Forrest and Lance, who came over and hung out a little bit before the game. Listen to the show every day too, and just shout out to everybody that does. If y'all weren't listening, then we wouldn't have a show, literally.
That's kind of not true because we did a show without anybody listening for a long time, and then we just kept this one going, and people now have them to listen. So, now Adam Randolph
anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Adam Randolph 9755 says maybe Alabama should run a 2-minute offense because that's when they are at their best. Run the 2-minute offense all the time. Let me say this about that. On the way back, I was reading some of Tim Watt's thoughts from the game on BOL, and he said sort of the same thing, not in so many words, but he said, Ty is just so much better when he just grips it and rips it. Yeah. And that is so true because when Alabama got in trouble with Ty, and trouble is relative because he didn't throw a pick. He had one beautiful pass to Wilkin for me, but he didn't throw a pick. Should have been picked, that one. But, he stood in the pocket a little too long. It's almost like he trusted, he trusted his line too much. And like, we're over here going, hey, our line's not as bad as people think. It's also not as good as you think it is right now. So you gotta help them out too. And somebody said, Jim L, I guess like Superman's cousin, Jor-El, or father, he says he fumbles a lot. And I don't know if he fumbles a lot, but he fumbles, and that's okay. I mean, he doesn't turn it over a lot. I mean, let's not get on to Ty about fumbling when he only has one interception.
The fumbles are a natural play than when you get hit unexpectedly. I mean, some of these hits have been blindside hits. I think the problem isn't fumbling so much as holding on to the ball too long. holding onto the ball too long, and then eventually gets blindsided because he's held on the ball and the ball pops out. So I wouldn't necessarily say fumbling so much as holding onto the ball too long when that internal clock should be ticking and he should have bailed or thrown the ball away. But, Todd just a little off today. He wasn't hugely off, just a little off. And in terms of that 2-minute offense question, which I think is very interesting, first of all, I think it proves how good Ty is. I think it's the hardest thing to do. That's why I was so impressed with Mendoza today. He struggled a lot, but in the 2-minute offense at the end, when he goes 80 yards with no timeouts, and his best receiver didn't even play all day, so he's throwing to basically his other receivers because they're All-American, wasn't out there. For him to do that, no timeouts, 80 yards. Ty does this all the time too. That's why the NFL likes Mendoza and likes Ty, because that's the ultimate test for a quarterback. So he is very good at the ultimate test. But hey, look, one thing about running the ball, I know it's not working, but if you abandon it, if you just announce before the game, which basically what you'd be doing if you didn't give the ball to Jam and Daniel Hill and Kevin Riley on some run plays, the pass game becomes even easier to defend than it was today for LSU. You can't just put the entire thing on the pass game. Then that becomes easier to defend. Every defense wants to make you one-dimensional. And while Alabama can't run the ball, and you'd say they're one-dimensional, they can't run the ball, they still insist trying to. Both LSU and Alabama had 26 carries tonight. Both. LSU had.
Wow. We both had 20. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of ours were maybe on the last drive. And I guess when you take a knee, it counts as a carry.
It does. It would. Sure.
Okay. So that is a bit deceptive. But LSU's running game is far superior to ours.
Well, we also had 3 sacks of LSU, and that counts as rush plays for LSU. So maybe it evens out a bit. Just point being, both teams struggled to run the ball equally. The reason Alabama won the game was because Alabama threw the ball far more efficiently than LSU did, and that was the difference. And Timothy, I couldn't agree more about Red Morgan. I said this when we recruited him, and now it stands out to me more than ever. I thought we recruited him. His high school tape reminded me of Malachi more, and he reminds me more and more of Malachi all the time. Just a instinctive playmaker. Not a guy you want to put at corner that's going to be in the hip pocket of everybody. Not the guy that you want to put it deep center field like Keon Sabb plays. I think up at the line of scrimmage where he plays that Husky spot, he's just an instinctive dude. He goes where the play is, and he arrives there ready to hit somebody. Who does that sound like? New York Jet Malachi Moore.
Well, not only that, first of all, Red Morgan's was taking a lot of heat earlier in this year.
Last year, because he was a freshman.
Yeah, but I think people should remember this. Red Morgan played at Central Phoenix City. So who did he go up against in practice? A lot. Yeah, Cam Coleman back in the day. So, and again, Cam's looking really, really good right now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not. He's a dude. And here's hoping he plays somewhere else next year. But but we'll talk more about the defense later. Jim L chimes back in with, Luke, is there any way to get this running game going? I honestly, I don't know. At this point in the game, it's sort of like we're too late. I don't think you're going to get the running game going. Could Daniel Hill break free? Could Kevin Riley, if he ever gets to see the field again and get a meaningful snap, could he break free in a non-Eastern Illinois moment? Sure. Am I optimistic? No. Jimmy and I said that these next 3 defenses in the SEC we play are the best 3 defenses we're going to play, and I'm including Georgia. Because I think LSU is a really good, underrated defense, even without Weeks. I think Oklahoma is the best defense in the league, and Auburn may be the second best defense in the league. Now, you got to put us in there somewhere too, because like you said, we held LSU without a touchdown, but our defense is pretty salty. And
we've been consistently holding teams well below their average in point production all year long. So we are one of the better defenses. Thankfully, we don't play ours, but we do have to play these others. I think LSU was the best defense in the league. Oklahoma eventually overtook them. Now I think Oklahoma's the best defense. Auburn, until today, hadn't given up 24 points to anyone all year, or more than 24. They certainly did today. And as we get to Auburn week, I think one of the interesting things we'll discuss, funny that as soon as we added a lot of responsibility to DJ Durkin, his defense didn't look as good. Maybe because he's busy doing other things. I don't know. But nice win by Vandy today, staying in the playoff race.
Yeah, and a couple of other shout-outs. I thought Bray Hubbard played a great game. He had he had at least one play where I thought you got to make that pick. You got to make that. I mean, I love that you broke it up, but you got to make the pick.
Yeah, we've had several picks dropped this year. There's been several, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, he's got to make that catch. But I thought Bray played extremely well. Pierre played extremely well. LT Overton with a big sack. James Smith played really well. Justin Jefferson and Nikai Hill-Green are now good every week. Outstanding. And the corners matched up with some pretty good receivers. The corners didn't give up much going up against Barry and Brown, Aaron Anderson, and we didn't let Trades Green go off, and he's a difficult matchup for anybody. So great job by the defense. As much as I say LSU was the best defense, now it's Oklahoma. Maybe now as we play more games, we'll see where we should put Alabama in the mix. But I think it's fair to put them third, fourth, no worse than fifth, I would think. And
Nikai also had an incredible – I didn't know it when it first happened because it happened on the other side of the field from where we were sitting. But he caused the fumble and then got the fumble. It wasn't like doing it on a quarterback. This is another guy running the opposite direction of you. I guess he was going perpendicular to him. And he knocks the ball out and somehow sort of circles around and has the wherewithal to get the ball. That was nuts. That was a heck of a play.
Yeah, he gets better all the time. He's so good against the run, let's remember, in September, we were questioning this Alabama defense against the run. They've gotten better and better and better. They've cinched it up. Oklahoma will be a bit of a challenge with their backs, a bit of a challenge. John Mateer's the real challenge, and their defense. Heck of a team coming in. We'll be talking about this all week. To me, this is the theme of the game with Oklahoma next week. It's Oklahoma back against the wall, playing for their playoff lives against an Alabama team. And the question for them is, how badly do you want to win this league? Because Alabama can lose to Oklahoma and still make the playoff. I think they know that.
They can lose to Oklahoma and still make the SEC title game.
How bad do you want to win this league? And we'll find that out next Saturday in this matchup, because Oklahoma's bringing everything they got. They're playing for their lives. Alabama's going to have to match that intensity when they're, quote, not playing for as much. I would argue they are. I would say, no, they're playing to win the SEC. That means getting to Atlanta. That means winning this game.
You and I still very much value the SEC championship. I love it. A lot of people don't, and I understand it. Do you ever hear people brag about in the NFL, hey, they won the AFC North last year? Nobody ever says that. Did you win the Super Bowl, or did you at least lose the Super Bowl? And if you didn't do anything else, you kind of stunk. And I hate that, and you hate that. But you and I believe that the SEC title still means something. And you know what? We're going to talk about another Alabama squad that's got a big-time chance to win the SEC. But right now, I said I was going to tell you about SupplyHouse, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't know why I put FanDuel up there. But there's SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Their Trademaster perks, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com, sign up for free. Use promo code SHCollege5, SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Jimmy Stein guarantee. Okay, Jimmy, you and I will get up in the morning. I mean, roughly 9:30 to 10.
I'll get up around 10.
Okay, so we're going to do a pod in the morning.
I've been under the weather, for people unaware. I've been sort of sick for 2 or 3 days. Played through today to get to the game, and so it set me back a bit. So around 10 or 10:30 tomorrow morning. So
we will do a pod tomorrow morning, and I'm glad to do that because it'll give me time to probably watch the game again, learn some things I didn't know from watching it live, and we're going to talk a lot of football tomorrow. for now. I know some of you don't buy into it as much as Jimmy and I and some of the other ones on here. This basketball team deserves love and respect. I'm going to tell y'all, I mean this with all my heart, and I'm going to say it with my whole chest. I thought Alabama was going to lose this game.
Yeah, we did.
And I was preparing you. I feel like a fool. I came on here and I said, when Alabama loses this game, and I think they will, then you know what? Don't be so mad. I think it's going to be okay. We got some growing pains. We got some things to learn, yada, yada, yada. Next thing I know, Jimmy, our guards are unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was an awesome display at a raucous place.
It's not crazy to predict a loss when you're 15 and you're playing 5 on their home court that you had to fly over multiple states to get to, and they're favored to win. I mean, it's not crazy to think that, hey, this one might be tough, but I think it showed how good Alabama can be when Reitzel, Holloway, and Philon all have great days. When they all have great days, good luck beating this Alabama team. That's not really news. I'm just impressed that they could all have great days in that environment against that great team, against that great coach. Shout out to Taylor Bowen, who I thought was all over the place. He was fantastic. Nate Oates challenged him by name in a press conference, and boy, did he respond. What a hard hat. This is a really good team, capable of beating anyone. And today didn't really change how I feel about the team. But I say that to say I felt all along that the formula for this team was win enough, do enough, get to March, get hot. You can beat anyone. This team can beat anyone when they're hot. They did today, proved it today. Philon, Reitzel, Holloway, probably the best backcourt in all of college basketball, which is remarkable that Nate Oates has built that in Tuscaloosa.
And Reitzel scared the dickens out of me today.
He doesn't have minor injuries.
When he limped off, I was thinking, there's no way you just popped another Achilles.
I was assuming he was headed for a full body cast. I mean, it's just in the sense that
you got to put him in the Lazarus pits.
Yeah, he doesn't have minor injuries, but he did this time. And man, he's a fun player to watch. And I thought Holloway was just spectacular. Philon is just so gifted. And boy, Nate Oates schedules like it's SEC football because you play the number 5 team in the nation on the road. Next game to get a breather. No, you play the number 1 team in the nation at home. But the Purdue matchup's going to be really tough, of course.
And then you play an Illinois team that is just pimp slapping everybody they play. Now, maybe they hadn't played the best schedule, but they are slapping the you-know-what out of them. This Purdue game, I'm hoping to go.
The blueberry vape right out of their mouths.
I wish they'd come slap the blueberry vape out of me. But anyway, so this Purdue game, I'm going to try and go. I'm hoping to go. And if you see me, talk to me. Jimmy, are you going to be able to go at all now?
Planning on going.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So hoping to go, love what Philon brought to the table. My God, the way our guys, even undersized, got to the rim was incredible. Aiden Holloway, number 1 on that list. The fact that everybody on St. John's team, they look like they were 30-year-old. They work at the factory. And then at night, they play in the men's rec league that is very famous for being awesome. And they were, I mean this in the nicest way possible, not in a derogatory way. They had some goons on that team, and they played goon ball, and they go out there, and they just goon you up. They just knock you. They play like Bill Lambier. They play like the old Pistons. They were a bunch of all the Lambier and Rodman. They were all a bunch of goons, and they go out, but they force you to play hard.
I thought 23 and 24 were New York Knicks, and they just showed up on the wrong day to work.
But didn't they look so much when they were like, they'd show a bunch of different players from Alabama and St. John's? I was like, they all look 8 years older than us. I mean, and in some of their cases, they were 8 years older than us. But so
they had some NBA bodies for sure.
But and I tweeted this out because it looked like for all the world what was going to happen. I could see the script, right? That St. John's was getting we had 16 fouls in the first half and they had 6. Look,
I think they shot.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying if you watch that game, that ain't what happened. And so that was crap.
Free throws, I think. 50.
That's stupid. I mean, come on now. Y'all, I was almost hoping Nate Oates would get a tech, but I was like, it's too close for him to do that. So just don't do it. But
the fact they could overcome that level
that's what I was going to say. Overcoming that's bigger than the win.
Other teams might have just pouted about the officiating or pouted about the foul discrepancy and not been able to put it together. This team did. They showed a lot of mental toughness, and Nate works on that all the time. It wasn't just the physical toughness matching up with these teamsters that St. John's has, but they showed a lot of mental toughness overcoming all that adversity.
And I did almost say Nick Soates as SEC pro fans. I said, and you know what? I'm not far from wrong. And I'm going to tell you something. This guy has, please, y'all hear me. We need the fans this week, big time. Not for our show. We love you, but I'm saying for Purdue, we need that place. We need to blow the roof off of Coleman for two reasons. Number one, to help our team. Number two, to get the new arena started. I hope it would be great if they're like, hey, Greg Byrne, we got to get started on the new arena. Why? Well, they blew the roof off of Coleman Coliseum, literally.
Roof got blown off the last one.
So secondly, God, and my laugh has changed since that Blueberry Babe. I just noticed that. Secondly, fans, listen to me. Hear me now, believe me later. Against Oklahoma, we got to do better. All of us, me, Jimmy, whoever's there, we all got to do better. We weren't at 100. We weren't at A+ status today. The fans, I mean it, and I'm being nice. Let's go get them. We got one more meaningful game in Bryant Denny this year. Eastern Illinois, whatever. But
although I am curious to see if we can run the ball on Eastern Illinois. That'll be the theme of that week. Like, can we run the ball against these guys?
But are you really? I don't care if we can run it against.
We're going to beat them regardless. But I'm curious to see
what would that prove to me.
Build a running game against them because we don't seem to be able to run the ball against anyone. So let's see what happens. We go down a level.
And I did have a lot of people tweeting me during this game and saying, this ain't gonna cut it in the playoffs. And that the part of me wanted to say, although I sympathize with them, I hear what they're saying. I wanted to say, that's true, but we can't. You don't play that way every game. Nick Saban talked about today the Georgia Southern team that came in and blanked through a tin horn. Remember, he said we had NFL picks everywhere and they just ran through us. It wasn't because they stunk. It wasn't because they forgot how to play.
It's a leftover from the Saban era. Saban was winning so many weeks, so many years, so many weeks. It got monotonous to the point that then on Saturday evenings and Sunday nights, it wasn't good enough that Alabama just won. We were always losing the games to a future fictional opponent. Yeah. I'm not going to celebrate that win because that would have been a loss against so-and-so. And then it didn't prove to be the case hardly ever. But that's what a lot of fans did during the Saban era. Maybe DeBoer is still picking up some of that. It doesn't matter that it wasn't good enough to beat a team in the playoff. This is what I think Alabama should do. Get to the playoff. Let's get to the playoff and find out. It's not news to them that they're struggling running the football. It's not news to them. They're working on it. No doubt they're working on it. Let's see what they come up with. Grubb has been quite creative, trying to come up. We seem to have some of our best run plays when the wide receivers back there, like Germ, maybe getting Ty more involved. We ran one little trick Proctor thing. We ran some other trickeration, but let's just see how he does. Ryan Grubb's one of the best OCs in college or pro football. I think that, and they're working on it. Now, that's not to say that they're going to solve it, but they're working on it. I'll tell you something really quickly before we get out of here, and we can talk more about it tomorrow. I didn't love the kind of trick play to start the game. I thought again, call me old school, but I'm like, if you're going to do a trick play, I think you need to sort of lull the defense to sleep, show them that you do this, and then do the opposite of that. We sort of, when you start out with the trick play, God, I'm telling y'all. Anyway, when you start out with the trick play, it's like, okay, but now they're going to expect a trick play, and it may not work as well because a lot of our trick plays didn't work as well. And I also heard some people kind of close to me where they were like, I'm sick of all our trick plays. And I'm like, well, get used to it, bruh, because this is what we're going to do. And it's just the way it is. I think the misdirection trick plays have a pretty good hit rate. I mean, a lot of them have worked, or at least worked to an extent, or worked out to be a positive play. If that wasn't the case, they'd get rid of it. I do think largely they're working. Largely, it doesn't all work. It's not all great, but a lot of it works. So they're going to stick with it. I think it's their creative answer to, we can't just hand the ball to the back and make yards. That's their response to, we can't just run the ball. We got to do this other stuff. And Grubb is just trying to creatively create some production. And I think for the most part, it works. But I think we can go, the fourth down play where Germ lines up at Wildcat and flips it to Ty, who threw it to Josh Cuevas. That was kind of fun. And that did work. It converted a fourth down into a first down. I just asked, why can't Ty just take the snap and throw the ball to Josh? But
how about Dowd again? I mean, you and I were singing this punter's praises. Dude was playing. I mean, when he punted, he was awesome.
It was a great play. I think it was Jalen Mbakwe down at the goal line that stopped that ball at the 2-yard line.
Well, it was funny because I think somebody had it on. I think Chris Stewart said that was either Sab or Mbakwe, and one of them kicked butt.
It wasn't Sab. So I thought it was Mbakwe. Great play by him. And yes, Blake Dowd. See, this is what happens when you are a little patient with these guys. Dowd was pretty terrible this spring. September wasn't great. Stuck with it. Now, I think as of this moment, he's one of the better punters in this league. And that's what some patience will do. You identify the talent, you work with them, you stick with it. End of the year, this is one of the better punters in the SEC.
And don't you love it for Mbakwe, who had a very big time, although probably should have been called a flag, screw up in the punt game against South Carolina, and everybody's killing him. And then he comes and makes a huge play against LSU. That's got to be big time for him. And it was a fantastic play.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And I think in the future, I hope Mbakwe stays here at Alabama and works on things. He's an amazing athlete. He's very popular on the team. Good friends with Ryan Williams, obviously. And I hope Mbakwe sticks around, commits to a position, and starts letting everyone see what kind of athlete he is.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's instant reaction to both football and to basketball. We promise we're going to talk a lot of football tomorrow morning, and we're going to work some more basketball in because, man, I'm going to tell you something. I hope that there's some people who don't like basketball taken away from football. I hope y'all realize now we're on the precipice of a program-changing season if we can get this together. I'm not trying to put too much on this game, but this game meant more than just we beat the number 5 team at their place. It meant more than that. I promise you.
It proved we can beat anyone with this team. This team can beat anyone, and we proved that, and that is huge.
And I feel bad for them because I was all ready to be forgiving and let them, have a few losses. Now you can't lose anything or I'm going to be ticked. All right. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Y'all are all the best. And we will be back tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.